Hello friends, this is Assistant Professor Pratima Bharlikar welcomes you all for the second session of AngularJS. In previous session, we talked about what is AngularJS, why should we learn AngularJS to develop web application, what are its core features, what are its advantages. Today, we will see Angular MVC, that is Model View Controller Framework, and SPA, that is Single Page Application. But before that, let us revise what is AngularJS in short. As we know that AngularJS is very powerful JavaScript front-end library. It is basically used in single-page application project. It helps to extend HTML document object model with additional attributes and make it more responsive to user actions. Here, AngularJS directive helps you to customize your HTML tags. AngularJS is open source and completely free software, and it is licensed under Apache license version 2.0, and it is now maintained by Google itself, and the latest version is 1.2.21. You can define AngularJS as a structural framework for dynamic web application. It lets you use HTML as your template language and lets you extend HTML syntax to express your application components clearly and briefly. Its data binding and dependency injection eliminate much of the code you currently have to write, and it all happens within the browser. Make it an ideal partner with any server technology. Now, what is MVC? That is Model View Controller. MVC, as it is popularly called, a software design pattern for developing web applications. It has three parts: model, view, and controller. Model is responsible for maintaining data. View part is responsible for displaying the data to the user. And controller, it is a software code that controls the interaction between model and view. MVC framework is popular because it isolates, or you can say separate, the application logic from the user interface layer and support the separations of concerns. The controller receives all requests for the application and then works with the model to prepare any data needed by the view. The view then uses the data prepared by the controller to generate a final presentable response. Here, diagram says the same. The model is responsible for managing application data. It responds to the request from view and to the instruction from controller to update itself. Then here you can see the view is responsible for presenting the data in a particular format triggered by the controller's decision to present the data. They are script-based template system like JSP, ASP, and PHP, and which is very easy to integrate with Ajax technology. Then here you can see the controller respond to user input and performs interaction on the data model object, and the controller receives input, validates it, and then performs business operation that modify the state of the data model. This is all about MVC. Here in feature, we have seen the MVW, model view whatever, which is used in AngularJS to divide your application into three parts: model, view, and controller. Now next is, what is SPA? As from the beginning, we have seen that AngularJS is used to develop single page application project. Now, SPA, that is single page application, in a simple language, we can say that it is a web application that fits on a single page. That means all your code is retrieved with a single page load, and also navigation between pages performed without refreshing the whole page. In traditional app, as you know, you typically blink and load everything again and again. So it is not very efficient on the bandwidth, especially in the mobile world. In SPA, we can load the initial content upfront, and then the different views or the little kind of mini web pages can be loaded on the fly and embed into the same page. AngularJS, we are going to see it is very good SPA framework, but it's not just for that. You don't have to load these dynamic views with it. In fact, if you wanted, you could just use it for some of the cool separation of the code that I will show you, and data binding also. But now we will focus here SPM. Now to build SPA, there are some challenges like there are the different issues to deal with: document object model manipulation and history. How do you dynamically load the modules, and how do you deal with promises when you make the asynchronous calls, and things like that. Here routing is also a huge issue because you have to have some way to track where are we and where are we going. So all this type of stuff you are going to see is built into Angular. Now we can certainly do all these with different scripts out there. We could use SamiJS and jQuery, and History.js and Require.js. For Ajax, we can use Q, and there is lot of different options. But Angular, you are going to see, provides a lot of cool features. As we say that AngularJS is one core library, and I really like that concept because I don't have to rely on millions other scripts and worrying about those different script versions playing nicely into the future. If you work on a development team, then maintenance should be some type of goal for you, especially if you do the maintenance, right? So Angular, in my view, gives a nice solid core that you can build on top of. Now, what are these features? So all these kind of features will help you to overcome these challenges. We have two-way data binding. We have model view controller concept, routing of the views, and history. Then testing was designed right from the beginning, so you can build very robust test if you would like, which is obviously recommended. Yeah. For document object manipulation, JQLite is built in, which is kind of like the mini me of jQuery. If you want to use more advanced stuff, you can even use jQuery, and they play really nice together, Angular and jQuery. When it comes to data binding, we have full support for template. Histories are built in. We can share the code through factories and services. Then there is even more. We have the concept of data binding with view models. Then directives I'm going to be taking about in next section, which is way to teach HTML new tricks. You can provide the additional functionality to your HTML tags. Then validation is there, dynamically injecting different feature at runtime, possible using dependency injection, and much more. We will see all these features in coming sections. Now I hope you will get idea clear about SPA, that is single page application. So yes, building our application as SPA will give us a significant number of benefits. In SPA, instead of converting data to HTML on the server, then send it over the wire, in SPA we have now moved the conversion process from server to the client. The conversion happens last second on the client side, which allows us to give a much improved user experience to the user. The next and most important advantage of SPA is less bandwidth, as there is no page refreshing again and again. So that's why the application will feel faster as less bandwidth is being used. Then the application will be much easier to deploy in production. At least certainly the client part. All we need in a static server to serve the minimum of 3 files, like our single page index.html, then CSS file, and a JavaScript file. Here we can see one more advantage, like split the bundles into multiple parts if needed using code splitting. The front end part of the application is very simple to version in production, allowing for simplified deployment and rollback to previous version of the front end if needed. So this is all about today's session. Today we have seen the MVC framework, that is Model View Controller Framework, in which model part is responsible for handling data, view part is responsible for displaying data to the user, and controller which controls the interaction between model and view, and SPA, that is single page application. So friends, this is all about today's session. We will see how the first AngularJS application in next lecture, how it is executed, which environment is required to execute the AngularJS code, and many more examples. So till then, keep learning, stay safe, and stay at home. Thank you so much.